All right, let's get right into it. We hear all the time about data scientists, about AI, but there's this other role, this incredibly critical job happening behind the scenes that honestly makes all of that other stuff possible. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the unseen architects of our digital world, the data engineer.
So just look at this number for a second. 87%. That's a huge, huge number. And it points to a massive, kind of hidden crisis that's been happening in the world of tech. But what is it? What does this represent?
You got it. According to our source, an absolutely astonishing 87% of big data projects fail. They never even make it into production. Just think about that for a second. That's almost 9 out of every 10 projects just gone. So the big question has to be, why? Why is this happening?
Well, for a long time, the whole approach was just flawed from the ground up. It was like trying to build a skyscraper on sand. Companies were using unreliable data infrastructure, they had incorrect models, and they were basically expecting their data scientists, the people who are supposed to be finding insights, to also be expert architects and construction workers. It led to tons of repetitive work and these really shaky foundations that were pretty much doomed to fail.
And this is exactly where our hero enters the story. To solve this crisis, a whole new, specialized role had to emerge: the data engineer. These are the people who don't just use the data, they're the specialists who build the rock-solid foundations for it to live on. So let's make this super clear, because it's a really common point of confusion. Think of it this way. A data scientist is like a detective. Their job is to analyze the evidence, the data, and ask really smart questions to solve a mystery. But the data engineer, they're the ones who build the entire precinct. They build the systems, the pipelines, and the infrastructure to make sure that data is reliable, secure, and ready for the detective in the first place. You really can't have one without the other.
And, because this role is so fundamental to everything, the demand is just through the roof. In the US, the median salary for a data engineer is somewhere between $90,000 and $150,000 a year. So yeah, this isn't just a job, it's a really vital and highly valued career.
So how do they actually build all this stuff? Well, like any pro, they have a specialized toolkit. Let's take a look at a few of the core technologies they're using pretty much every single day to build these systems reliably and at a huge scale.
First up, you've got Docker, okay? Just imagine you're trying to send someone a complex Lego set you built, but you take it all apart and just send them the loose bricks. They might not be able to rebuild it the same way. Docker solves this. It packages up an application and everything it needs to run all the dependencies into one neat, tidy, portable container. It totally solves that classic, infuriating problem of, well, it works on my machine. Next is SQL. You might have heard of this one. It stands for Structured Query Language, and if data lives inside a database, SQL is the language you have to speak to talk to it. It's the universal way to create, change, or just ask for information. For a data engineer, being fluent in SQL is, well, it's completely non-negotiable. And then there's a tool like dbt, which stands for Data Build Tool. Look, data in the wild is almost always a total mess. It's raw, it's disorganized. dbt is a tool that helps engineers take all that messy, raw data and transform it into clean, structured, reliable models that are actually ready for analysis. It's a game changer for data quality.
Okay, so they have the tools, but what's the main thing they're actually building? It's something called the data pipeline. You can think of it like an automated assembly line, but instead of car parts, it moves information from its source all the way to a destination where it becomes useful.
The modern way to build one of these is called an ELT pipeline. It's got 3 steps. First is extract. You pull in all the raw data from all over the place. Then comes load. You dump all of that raw data into one central spot, like a big data warehouse. And finally, the really crucial step, transform. It's only now, once everything's in one place, that you clean it, you organize it, and you model it so it can actually be analyzed.
And here's where it all comes together. We've got a great quote here from our source, Justin Chow, that really hits the nail on the head. He explains that by using tools like Docker, each piece of this pipeline is siloed inside of a container. This whole idea of containerization is what makes these incredibly complex processes manageable, repeatable, and, most importantly, reliable.
So look, I know this is all pretty technical, right? But the main point is that this work doesn't just happen in a vacuum. Building reliable data infrastructure has a massive, massive real-world impact. It's the engine that powers success in pretty much every modern company.
You really have to think of it like a pyramid. Data engineering is that massive, solid base layer of the entire structure. Without that solid foundation, everything else you want to build on top accurate business decisions, cool new innovations, and, yeah, the entire world of AI and machine learning, it just can't stand. Data engineering is literally what holds everything else up.
So I'm going to leave you with this thought. We all know that the digital world is built on data. We say it all the time. But that data doesn't just magically organize and deliver itself. So the real question we should be asking is, who is going to build its foundations? Who are the architects? As we've seen, that's the data engineer.